Today we're going to learn our fifth Zentangle pattern that will be used in our final robot drawing in this project. And the tangle that we're going to look at today is called BB. And it is another tangle by the Zentangle headquarters. So let's jump right in. This one is actually very simple and can be drawn a couple different ways depending on your preferences. I'm going to just show you one of those ways, and it uses very simple. We're going to make little rectangular shapes. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit, that are stacked right against each other. We want to create a little visual interest by making them imperfect. They don't have to be exact like you're measuring them out. They're just rectangle shapes, and we're going to go ahead and stack them together in slightly irregular ways to create some visual interest. Now this pattern, like I said, can be drawn several different ways. It can be drawn, according to some artists, by creating these shapes in random places, up and down, of course, across your area, and then just connecting them by creating the intervening rectangular shapes. And that's completely fine. And that does create a little more of a random appearance. And it does allow you to do a different variety of directions with the tangle as far as its movement across the area or the page that you're working with. But I find sometimes it's just as simple to draw just like that. Now, part of BB is that every so often, one of these little rectangular shapes is colored black. I'm going to grab a slightly heavier pen to do that with. But that's not required, first of all. And secondly, if you do it, it doesn't matter how often, if it's every third or fourth or fifth. But I'm going to just grab, let's say, the fourth one here. And let's do the fourth one again. By fourth one, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And let's do this one here on the fifth one, just to break it up, not make it look like an exact pattern. 1, 2, let's do the third one here. And then we'll go back, do the fifth one again. And let's do the third one. And so with this shape, or this pattern rather, BB, you can use it in a lot of different ways, of course, and I'm just showing you the basics of how this pattern is drawn. But let's do one up above here. We'll kind of follow the same idea, but what we'll do is we'll give it some movement up or down by where we position these little rectangular shapes. You still want to create some sense of variety, but by doing this, I can create little waves or motion in how these pieces come together. Oops, that one got a little sloppy. Bet you that's going to be one that we're going to want to color in, just to hide our little error. That's a way to do things. I'm trying not to make them perfectly symmetrical to each other either, just again to add some kind of interesting shape to it. So you see here, instead of going straight across, we've got a little bit of a wavy motion. Now we can still go back in and fill in the random pieces here like we did before, again for visual interest, and it's also just part of that original Tangle's design. So we'll just do that here. And as you see, I started from that one that I had a little error there, but we don't believe in errors in Zentangle, at least not officially and formally. We have a no mistakes policy. So when you make a mistake, you just either cover it or ignore it or move on without being concerned about it. It doesn't matter. There is no reference that we're looking at for this that says, oh, it has to be exactly this way or exactly that way. It's just whatever we need for our drawing. Whatever our artistic inclinations are, then that's what we're going to do as we follow these general pattern guidelines. But as you can see, that's basically what we amount to, or end up with rather, once we make our shapes across the page. Now, as far as shading, we can do a simple thing. We could make a gray or a graphite down the center, as though that is creating a roundness to it. We could create it on one edge to create a shadow. There's a variety of different ways we can do it. I'm just going to, for sake of illustration, show you a simple, easy to follow. We're going to shade one side to create a sense. It will also give us a sense of roundness, but it's going to create a little bit of a shadow, as though light's coming from this way, so the underside has a shadow on it. So I'm just adding a little graphite to these white areas. You don't have to worry, of course, about the black ones. We'll do the same thing up here, just so we can see how it functions in both of these cases. I'm just adding the graphite here. We'll use our tortillon to smear that around or blend that. Just creating a sense of shadow there. That's all we're trying to do. So by blending this graphite, it smooths it out a little bit, but it also creates a less dark as we go up toward the light, whereas it's more dark on the side where the light would potentially be hitting it in this example. It helps to give the impression of not being so flat. There's a sense of where the eye just sees that as a sense of roundness. If you do go outside of these edges and create an effect you're not looking for, you can erase, although erasing in Zentangle in the strictest sense is not commonly done. And then we could also add a highlight to this. If we had different color paper, we could add a white highlight. It's not necessary, as I said, it's not an important part of it, but that is BB, a very simple tangle that we're going to try to incorporate into our final robot themed picture. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye now.